Welcome to our exploration of the legendary weapon of the Vikings, the Dane axe. The Vikings were a fierce and feared people, known for their seafaring and raiding ways. They roamed the seas in search of new lands to conquer, trade goods to acquire, and settlements to raid for wealth and power. But in order to achieve these goals, they needed weapons that would give them an edge over their enemies. And the Dane axe was one such weapon. With its ability to cut through chainmail, helmets, and some plate armor, it was also a symbol of power and prestige among the Viking society. But make no mistake, this was not just a weapon, it was a tool of destruction, wielded by warriors who knew no fear, and left death and destruction in their wake. Welcome to the world of the Viking Dane axe, a weapon fit for the gods of war. In the dark and somber annals of history, the Dane axe stands as a brutal testament to the ingenuity of man. Born from humble beginnings as a mere tool for chopping wood and clearing land, it evolved through a process of experimentation and adaptation. As the Viking raiders and settlers ventured forth into unknown lands and clashed with new cultures, they found themselves in need of more formidable weapons. And so, they began to tinker with their axes, seeking to make them more deadly. They increased the size and weight of the axe heads, sharpened the blades to a razor's edge, and crafted them into a weapon that was as deadly as it was versatile. In the hands of a skilled warrior, the Dane axe became a fearsome weapon, capable of hacking through armor and flesh alike. Shields-bearers feared the axe, knew that it only had limited usefulness in the hands of a Viking warrior, included the infamous berserkers, who knew the true power of the axe in close-quarters combat. And so the Dane axe became a symbol not just of the Vikings' strength, but of their relentless pursuit of deadly perfection. Looking at the Dane axe, let us delve into the characteristics in greater detail. These formidable weapons, as depicted in period illustrations and extant artifacts, fall under the Peterson axe typology and possess Type L or Type M heads, with some earlier versions possibly possessing Type G heads. In general, all these types of axe heads are characterized by a wide, thin blade, with pronounced horns at both the toe and heel of the bit. The cutting surfaces vary, but generally range between 20 and 30 centimeters or 8 and 12 inches. The Type G Dane axes are believed to have been used during the period of AD 800 to AD 950. These axes boast impressive features, such as larger spurs that are of equal size on both top and bottom, a slender and often faceted neck, and a butt that is elegantly thin. The blade itself is a marvel of symmetry, its edges perfectly aligned to provide both precision and power. The Type L blades tend to be smaller, with the toe of the bit swept forward for superior shearing capability. As we move forward in time, to 940 AD to AD 1200, the spurs become blunted, the eye has a curious and distinct form, and the blade is quite long with an edge that has a little curvature. The upper edge has a very shallow curve, and the edge is not symmetrical with the lower portion bending towards the neck. As we move to the later versions of the Type M, typically larger overall, with a more symmetrical toe and heel. The spurs are quite steep with the lower one being longer and further towards the blade, the neck slender with the butt almost square in shape, and the blade is quite thin with the upper and lower edges being strongly curved. The cutting edge slopes downwards towards the hilt. Some small Dane axes have been found to have a hole in the bit. This hole was used to tie a cord to the axe and use it as a throwing weapon, but this is unlikely to be a common use. Viking enemies knew to fear the axe, especially since they did not know exactly how they were made. Forged in the fires of ancient smithies, the metal composition of the Dane axe was a closely guarded secret, known only to a select few. Some were crafted with a high carbon content, making them harder than any other weapon on the battlefield. Others were made with a lower carbon content, making them more flexible and able to withstand the rigors of war. But the true master craftsmen did not stop there. They knew that to truly harness the power of the Dane axe, they must forge it from the rarest of metals, steel. And they did not spare any expense, for they knew that the fate of entire battles, nay, the fate of entire kingdoms, hung in the balance. And so, they crafted the blades of the Dane axe with a precision never before seen, making them impossibly thin, yet strong enough to cleave through armor as if it were butter. And to ensure that the edge of the weapon remained sharp, even in the heat of battle, they reinforced the bit with a higher carbon steel. It was a weapon fit for a king, and those who wielded it struck fear into the hearts of all who opposed them. But be warned, for to hold a Dane axe is to hold the power of life and death in your hand. Use it wisely, for the fate of empires rests upon your shoulders. The true power of the Dane axe lay not only in its deadly blade, but also in the unbreakable bond between it and its handle. For the ancient smiths who crafted these weapons, the handle was not just an afterthought, but a crucial component in the weapon's deadly efficiency. They knew that in the heat of battle, the axe head and handle must become one, united in purpose, unyielding in strength. And so, they devised intricate fitting patterns, designed to increase the strength of the bond between the two parts, and to ensure that the axe head would never come loose in the hands of its wielder. You see, the handle of the Dane axe was not just a functional piece of wood. It was an extension of the warrior's arm, needing to trust the movement and balance of the axe as if there was no piece of wood between the hand and the axe head. And so, the ancient smiths crafted handles of the finest ash and oak, chosen for their strength and resilience. And the length of the handle was not left to chance. The axe, designed for the rigors of war, was crafted with a shaft of around 3 to 4 feet, but for those who wielded the axe as a symbol of their power and status, the handle was made even longer, stretching to a formidable 5 to 6 feet in length. But the piece of wood in the handle alone was not enough to secure the axe head to it. The ancient smiths knew that they must bind the two together, and so they used the finest materials at their disposal. Wood, leather, or cord were all used to secure the axe head to the handle, providing not only a grip for the user but also a symbol of the unbreakable bond between the warrior and his weapon. All of these components combined leads to a weight of a Dane axe that can vary, but it is typically between 1 and 2 kilograms, 2.2 to 4.4 pounds, although some were even higher, weighing close to 8 pounds. The Dane axe is a weapon that has been wielded by warriors throughout the Viking Age, but just because it looks similar to other axes, do not be fooled into thinking they were used in the same manner. The Dane axe, wielded by the fierce Vikings, was a weapon of unparalleled destruction on the battlefield. Though there is little written record of how these warriors specifically wielded the axe in battle, the evidence that does exist paints a grim picture of the devastation they wrought. Descriptions of battles such as the Battle of Hastings and the Battle of Stamford Bridge tell of the axe being used on both horse and man, with tales of famous axemen holding bridges against all odds, only to be felled by a sneak attack by an enemy under the bridge itself. But historians don't only focus on written accounts that give us insight into the use of the Dane axe. Artistic sources, such as the Bayeux Tapestry, offer a visual representation of how the weapon was wielded. It is believed that the axe was usually held at the bottom half of the shaft, but in closer combat, the warrior's hands would likely slide up and down the shaft for maximum effectiveness. It is also believed that the axe was usually held with the left hand forward, striking the opponent on their non-shield side. This technique could also have been related to an anti-cavalry strategy, as the Vikings fought many battles against heavily armored horsemen. So, do not be fooled by the simple appearance of the axe. The Dane axe, wielded by the Vikings, was a weapon of great power and destruction, wielded by warriors who struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. These fierce Viking warriors were known for their lightning-quick raids and invasions, utilizing ships that were quick and relatively light. This allowed them to attack without warning, catching their enemies off guard. And, in order to maximize the element of surprise, the Vikings would often forego heavy defensive armor, opting instead for a more offensive approach. One weapon of choice for these seafaring raiders was the Dane axe. Now, some may think of the sword as the ultimate weapon of war, but in the hands of a Viking, the axe was a truly formidable tool. It was designed for offense, not defense. The Vikings weren't interested in standing in the middle of a field and engaging in pitched battles like the Anglo-Saxons. No, they were all about the surprise attack, and the axe was the perfect weapon for that purpose. It was top-heavy, allowing for greater impact even if it didn't hit the opponent as frequently as a sword would. So, as the Vikings sailed off into the sunset, their enemies would tremble in fear, knowing that at any moment, they could return with a vengeance, wielding the mighty axe and striking with deadly precision. The Dane axe was not just a weapon, it was a symbol of power, prestige, and strength among the Vikings. Wielded by the strongest and bravest of warriors, the chieftains and leaders of Viking society, it was a tool of war and a tool of the gods. The Dane axe was deeply ingrained in Viking culture and religion. It was a symbol of the might and power of the gods, and was often depicted in Viking art and mythology. Some scholars believe that the axe may have been associated with the god Thor, the god of thunder and war in Norse mythology. Thor, with his mighty hammer, was the protector of the Viking people, and the axe, with its sharp and deadly blade, was seen as a physical manifestation of his power. It was also a symbol of the Viking way of life. It was a reminder of the fierce and unrelenting spirit of the Viking people, and the constant struggle for survival in a harsh and unforgiving world. Its legacy lives on today, a symbol of the strength, power, and fierce determination of the Viking people. It is a reminder of a time when the Viking warriors roamed the seas, striking fear into the hearts of their enemies, and carving out an empire that would last for centuries. The Dane or Danish axe was a weapon that had a significant influence on medieval warfare and weapon design. The axe was originally developed and used by the Vikings in Scandinavia, but through trade and influence, it began to gain popularity outside of the region. From the 10th century, the Dane axe became widely used throughout Europe and was soon accepted as a weapon of knights, although not quite as popular as the sword. The axe's design was unique, featuring a long wooden haft with a large, single-bit axe head. The combination of the long haft and the heavy axe head made it a formidable weapon in battle. As time went on, the Dane axe became the ancestor of other weapons such as the German halberd and the English poleaxe. The halberd was developed in the 14th century and featured a spear point, axe blade, and a hook on the back of the head. The poleaxe was developed in the 15th century and had a similar design to the halberd but with a more elongated haft. These weapons were widely used by infantry soldiers in medieval Europe and were a testament to the lasting influence of the Dane axe on medieval weapon design. The Dane axe, also known as a Viking axe, was more than just a tool or weapon. It was a symbol of power, a tool of war and a marker of identity for the Viking warriors who wielded it. The evolution of the axe from a simple tool to a weapon of war is a testament to the ingenuity of the Vikings. They imbued it with deadly potential, honing the design and craftsmanship to perfection. The Dane axe was characterized by its long, broad blade, which allowed for wide, sweeping strikes, and its thick, heavy head which could deliver devastating blows. The tactics and techniques used with the Dane axe were brutal and effective, with warriors using it to hack through armor and shields. The significance and impact of the Dane axe in Viking culture cannot be overstated. It was a weapon that instilled fear in their enemies and was a symbol of the fierce and relentless nature of the Vikings themselves. The Dane axe will forever be remembered as a weapon that was as iconic as the warriors who wielded it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next video.